Ready? Oh, sorry. I was over here trying to get already. All right. We're reconvening to open session. Let's do flag salute. Ready? Begin. Awesome. Thank you. There is no report of actions taken in closed session. Moving on to our next one, which is adoption of the agenda with the changes of moving item 4 and 5. Is it 4 and 5? Yes, 4 and 5. No, moving item 3 and 4 to discussion items. Do I have
Motion to approve the
agenda?
agenda with the said rearranging of the said to discussion.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Student? Aye. Awesome. All right. Adoption of the consent agenda.
I motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Student? Aye. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, y'all. Eating over here. All right, let's do recognitions and presentations. Curtis, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. All right. So last board meeting, I to present to the board and the public all of the new hires of our certificated staff and all their locations. As the board's request this evening, I am in front of you with our new classified staff members. What I do want to say before I go through this is that some of the names will be familiar to you. Some are previous classified employees, but in a completely different. And of course, as of the making of this, it has changed and there's been names added. But I do not have them on there. So if you are recently hired, I apologize. Your name did not make this presentation. So here we go. And we did solve the self-advancing on this already today. So thank you, Dr. Gann. All right. So we're going to go by school side again. And this is our Castroville Elementary Sea Otters. Alma Brubieska is our new yard duty supervisor. Michelle Martinez, also yard duty. Jocelyn Ceja Tapia is our MTS assistant. And Priscilla Ayala is our new school office clerk. Now, Elkhorn has quite a few. Both yard duties, we have Leslie Jones and Beatrice Torres, and 2 child development assistants, Maria Sanchez, Natalie Reyes, our school office clerk by Suarez. Let's go. Just okay. Our new custodian, Marcos Cruz, Brianna Perlera is our paraprofessional special education, and also a para is Alyssa Torres. Isaiah Garifi, our MTSS assistant, and Jimena Chavez is our MTSS assistant as well. On to Echo Valley Dolphins. Ethan Arungzeb is our instructional assistant for PE. Cynthia Sanchez, new yard duty supervisor. A new para is Regina Perez. Jennifer DuBose is our MTSS assistant, and Guadalupe Hernandez Sanchez is our family and community engagement specialist, so our new faces. Prunedale Pelicans, they have 5 new employees for classified. Our first 3 are MTSS assistants is Adriana Gavilan Aguilera, Beth Gonzalez, Stephanie Novoa Lua. And then as our instructional assistant SPED, we have Valeria Ramirez, and our new custodian is Alberto Rodriguez. And to our middle school, campus safety monitor, Dane Gower. Heavenly Smith is our ACES Nest educator. Our 2 MTSS assistants are Monica Cerna, Johnny Silver. New custodian is Brenda Perez Godino. Carla Enriquez Vergoso is our family and community engagement specialist in new faces. And our high school, Noe Rodriguez is our new student transcript data specialist. He was formerly here in the library. Manuel Gomez Zavala, English Language Specialist Assistant or Support Assistant. Cassidy Hill Neely is our Library Tech 2. Desiree Ramirez, Administrative Assistant 1 here at the high school. Jose Aceves Gutierrez is our custodian. Ivana Velasquez is our Work Experience Technician, and Genesis Mendoza is our Family and Community Engagement Specialist here at the high school. Transportation, we have 2 new bus drivers, Race Nelson and Alexandra Araz Rivera. And our 2 van car drivers are Lanolin Clemena and Johnny Ramirez. And for maintenance, we have Greg Rivas, our lead grounds maintenance, and Christopher Kames is our grounds worker. And just want to take this moment to welcome them to either their new roles or welcome them to North Monterey County Unified School District, and happy to have them all here.
Yay. Thank you, Curtis.
Thank you.
I'm going to open it up for any public comment.
I was very excited. Oh, Cassandra Quaylar, second grade teacher at Elkhorn, lifelong community member. Isaiah, I heard his name at the beginning of the year, another former student of mine, second grader, from about 10, 11 years ago. And he's been working in my class this week. It was so amazing to see his face. Give him a huge hug. He used to be this tall. Now he is way taller than me. And to be able to introduce him to my class, like I was able to show Miss Sammy Rivera, our new first grade teacher, a photo of her and say, someday you could work in this district to my students. I was able to show Isaiah in person and be like, someday you can work in our district. And he was in our class and the students are amazed. And all of my students had worked with him this week. So just amazing that we're hiring former students. And I love that about our district, that they come back.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Any in Zoom? All right, closing public comment, and I'll start with our board and I'll start with our student.
No comments really. Thank you for the presentation and the packet.
Honestly, not that much from the last 2 weeks. Just happy to be, what, 2 weeks into school now? Was it 3 weeks? So starting off really well. Hearing a lot of positive things from the staff.
Martha?
No, kudos, 43 positions. That's quite a bit. And that's a combination of rehires, transfers, and new roles.
Yes, several of the names on that are new to our district, but there are a lot of people who switched into different positions. All of our faces are new. They were previously in other roles, the majority of them.
That's great. That's great to see, like whether it's a career move, a career growth, or, just to see all those opportunities. So thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And thank you, Curtis, for putting that together. And we welcome them all. And we full circle. So thank you, Ms. Queller, for providing that comment. It's awesome to hear of our students continuing to be in our community and giving back and being part of our change for next generations to come. All right. Moving on to our next presentation, and that's our 45-day budget for 25-26. Brenda, welcome.
Greetings all. Today I'm here to present the 45-day budget. Just to start, the 45-day budget is intended to update the adopted budget 45 days from the initial adopted budget, hence 45-day budget. It allows us to make budget reflects more accurate plan in terms of our revenue and expenses. Oh, I'm gonna have to do this. There we go. Oh, move the clicker here. What isn't a 45-day budget? So 45-day budget, I do want to note that it does not actual carryover balances from 24-25. The previous fiscal year currently has not closed, and the 45-day budget is right before our unaudited actual. So it doesn't actually include any of our ending fund balances from the previous year. For reference, this slide helps identify where we are in our budget cycle. So as you can see, the 45-day budget is right after the adopted budget, but it's also right before the unaudited actuals for 24-25. And we are right now geared to close in September 15th. The next couple of slides, I'm going to go through a bit quickly. I'm going to ensure that I highlight some of the key changes, but I want to move through them in order to spend a little bit more time discussing our bottom line, because I think that is an area that we want to focus on. So in terms of revenue changes, as you can see, the biggest factors here was our change to our LCFF dollars, so our local control funding formula dollars. We received the advanced apportionment, and this advanced apportionment shows our most updated projections for 25-26. Thankfully for us, it looks like it is an increase. Of course, we'll keep tabs on it as the year goes, but that's the most significant in terms of LCFF. In terms of the revenue changes for our state, our federal dollars, this includes title allocations and as well as some dollars for nutrition. The state revenue increases were due to reimbursement increase for transportation, which is always appreciated. And it's also an increase in our SPED allocation. And we also got some dollars for the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which we were not expecting. We thought that that was the end, and they actually came out and gave us an additional allocation. So that was great news to hear. In terms of our expenses, the top two increases that I will go ahead and highlight is our increases to services and materials. Now, this happened for a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons is that we did keep going. Oh, there we go. That we did receive specifically categorical funding. So what does that mean? When you receive restricted funding, you have to budget the full amount. And so if you have already covered your salary and benefits, then the only other pot that you would be able to put expenses in terms of your budget is your 4,000s and 5,000s. Apart from that, the other reason for the change there is because in our adopted budget, there were some shortfalls in terms of ensuring that we were covering all of our contracts, our rentals, and our interfund transfers. So there was additional added there in order to ensure that we were meeting those shortfalls. Wanted to provide a bit of a slide. Just project. Oh, there we go. I wanted to provide a slide that shows all of our other funds. You know, sometimes we focus a lot on our fund, which is our general fund, which is the biggest pot for all school districts, but we do have other funds. And so I wanted to just talk through them a little bit. Our Fund 11 is specifically allocated to adult education. And so again, all of these funds are restricted. We can only use them for specific reasons, which is why they're allocated specifically in a fund. And so for instance, Fund 11 received a grant, and for that grant specifically, the allocation decreased, which is why the change happened there. Our Fund 12, very minimal, it was just correcting the award. And we did, but that specific fund is earmarked for child development. And then Fund 13 is all cafeteria. This is where all of our cafeteria dollars and all our nutrition programs is funded out of. As you can see, it went up, and it's because we got a new kid award. So yay, that's wonderful news. And we did have to increase our restricted beginning balance from Fund 13 in order to cover additional costs and salary and benefits. Our Fund 14 is our deferred maintenance, and it's the same. It's $500,000. Fund 17, no changes there. The only other change that happened was our Fund 40, which is our capital projects. That is where all of the capital projects that we're intending to do are being funded. The only change there was that we removed 114 since we are currently not prioritized moving forward with rooms 100. We have other priority items. Moving on to our restricted funds. Within our general fund, there are restricted funds. And there were a couple of, I'll highlight some of the major changes here that occurred. As you can see, there was a decrease in ELO. So the reason we had such a decrease in ELO is they originally had quite a bit of money that they had in 24-25 that they had not used. And we budgeted a portion of that, 700,000, in 25-26. As we have been closing the books, we realized, oh, they used it. Great, the students received those services. But what does that mean? It means that in 25-26 we have to make those cuts. Now, the other large pot that changed here is looking at our 7,000s, and that is 7,000s, I'm sorry. So those are just the learning recovery, our equity multiplier, and our CTE awards. All right, moving on to the deficit. I want to dive into this a little bit more because I want to ensure that we have a good understanding of where these numbers come from. So if you look at the deficit at a face value, right? Then at a first glance, you see it, you say, we are at a deficit of about 7 million. Now, when I was doing this and I was sharing this with our superintendent, he said, Brenda, how did you come up with that number? And can you please show your work? And I said, are you a math teacher? So I showed my work because that helps for transparency purposes, right? And so you can see on there, I say, show your work. And so that 71 is our total revenue. And then I deducted the contributions. So the SPED contribution, which is that 9.6, then the routine restricted contribution, which is at 2.9, our Fund 14, which is deferred maintenance, 300,000, and our Fund 40, which is our capital project contribution, which is a 3.2. Once you take that and you take our total expenses, the 63 million, you end with about 7.5 negative. When you look at that and then you look at our reserve, which is about 3 million, you add the two, it would require us to have a beginning balance at about 10 million, which is what we have budgeted. But I wanted to dive a little bit deeper because this tells you one story, but our structural deficit is different. So if I move on to our structural deficit here, what is the difference? So the difference between our structural deficit is that we are removing one-time expenses versus our reoccurring. Our reoccurring expenses is our true structural deficit. So once again, I've shown my work here. I'll walk through it a little. So again, you take the 71 for our revenue, and then you deduct our ongoing expenses, which includes our SPED contribution, once again, routine restricted maintenance, deferred maintenance, and I have removed, as you can see, our capital projects. Why? These are one-time projects that are not going to be reoccurring, which do not actually contribute to our structural deficit. Now, when we were reviewing the budget and we were looking at, are there areas that we can slim down? We're looking at it and we believe that we can slim down operations alone, meaning 4,000s, 5,000s, 6,000s, as in materials, supplies, services, agreements, rental, so on and so forth, by about 3 million. And so that is a planned reduction for this fiscal year, meaning 24-25. Once we revise those expenses, it brings us to about 60 million. And so I've also reduced on my show your work section, 60 million from expenses. Now that brings us to a very different picture. That is now 1.3 million in terms of our structural deficit. And that's really where we are. What does that mean? So it means that in terms of this fiscal year, we're going to be able to meet our obligations because we have sufficient funding in terms of carryover. But it also means that because we have a structural deficit, we do need to make a plan forward in order to ensure that we decrease and eliminate our structural deficit. Now you ask, I'm sure you're looking at it and saying, oh, you're using about 10 million. Well, how much do we really have? So let's talk about that. Right now, these numbers, as you can see by my bold section there, they're rough estimates. We have not finished closing the book, but we have an idea of where we are. So if we're looking at our unrestricted balances, we're projecting about 14 to 19 million. We're only using 10. In terms of restricted, 10 to 19, we're only using about 3. Now, of course, in a couple of weeks, we'll know where we really land, and then we'll be able to see how much we will realistically have and be able to plan for going forward. Let's talk a little bit more about carryover. So let's just define it. Carryover is the ending balance from a previous fiscal year that rolls into a new fiscal year as beginning fund balance. Extra cash left over from the year prior. Simple as that. Now, what are good practices? In terms of utilizing carryover finances and with differences in government, it's to have some stability there. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna switch it.
Forward to next year. So this is a win for our district. Should I get closer? Okay. I think it's the user. In terms of increases in our allocation, our district received a win. We are actually going to be receiving 1.2 million, and this is a confirmed allocation. This is for professional development. As you can see from the points there, it also includes a couple of other requirements. Now, this is one-time funding, but this is funding that will be used, particularly, I'm sure, by educational services to provide additional professional development. Now let's look at other sorts of changes in federal funding. We received a taste of what federal funding will be in the next fiscal year, meaning 26-27. I'm sure you all heard and saw it in the news that there were several title dollars as well as adult basic education that was impounded in fiscal year 25-26. Now that impounding was released, but what does that mean? It means that it's very probable that those dollars will not be there in the next fiscal year. Furthermore, if you look at this chart, and I cannot take credit for this chart, you can see the source at the bottom there. This chart shows the green line shows where shows the adjustment for inflation, and then the bars below that show the funding. So as you can see, the funding in terms of federal dollars is 20 billion less. So not just for us, obviously across 20 billion less than what was provided 15 years ago. If you look at 2011, it was 68.3. 2026, 66.7. Even with inflation. What does that mean? It means we have to be prepared for some potential cuts for next year. In addition, I'm not going to go through the entire bill here, but one of the points that I do want to point out is the second to last bullet, is that the district budgets will be hit by the direct certification. It will be more difficult for students and families to receive Medicaid and SNAP. What does that mean? It means that our numbers in terms of the dollars we will receive for certificated students for supplemental and concentration will decrease. And of course, we cannot say that for sure, but we have to be prepared for that as a possibility. Oh, sorry. Now moving to the multi-year report, I do want to note that this is an estimate only. We don't know all of the data that will be provided in the rest of the year, but we have to start planning. And so if you look at 25-26, this is just with a projected beginning balance with restricted and unrestricted of about 25. It could be more, of course, it could be less. It gives us an ending balance at about 17. Moving to 26-27, you can see our revenue has decreased. Now, it's decreased because of what I've mentioned prior, which is federal dollars are probable to go down, and because our ADA has continued to decrease as well. And so I have to make sure that I'm making those adjustments because that is currently the trend. That doesn't mean that that's exactly where we're going to land. It does mean that we're going to continue to pivot and update this multi-year report as we see figures change. But this is the planning process, right? So in terms of 26-27, we would have to make about a cut of $5 million in order to continue to be positive for to meet obligations for fiscal year 27-28. And so in 27-28, then we would end with a very small ending balance if we only cut 5 million across each year. The point here is that we're always trying to ensure that in the current year, we're meeting our obligations, and we're looking out 2 years in order to meet our obligations 2 years out as well. So those would be the potential cuts in order to continue to stay in the green. Now, with decreasing revenues and spending down our balance, how do we decrease expenditures in the future? I've had this little picture before of our fiscal responsibility in the 3 buckets. There's really only 3 buckets we can cut from. So there's salaries, programs and services, and facilities and environment. And this includes one-time projects. So we do have to decide where we want to start decreasing. But I do think it has to be a combination. It can't be all from one bucket or another, because all of those 3 categories are necessary in order to run a district, in order to run a site, in order to run schools. So once again, I mentioned this again, but the goal is to meet our obligation for the current year and 2 year out. That would ensure that we have a positive certification. Now, we do currently have some red flags that I'm mentioning. We are currently in deficit spending. Now, our fund balances are actually healthy. And in terms of our multi-year report, we are planning, right? We are planning so that we can remain solvent for the next years. But knowing that there's red flags means that we have to decide and take some action so that we have a corrective plan in place. Oops. Okay. So the next steps are taking action. These are the 3 areas that we need to look at. The first section is right sizing our staffing to align with enrollment and funding. Our second section is operations, reducing operations specifically in unrestricted funding. And then last but not least, it's our one-time. So determining what are our priorities in terms of one-time funding, which are the highest priorities, and how can we phase them out across, for instance, 3 years. Now, budget is a very complex and full story. There's a lot in every single line. And I know that this presentation only reaches the top of the iceberg, right? There's a lot more to be said. So I do want to take this time to say we are going to have a budget advisory committee meeting October 1st. If you want to dive deeper, if you want to know more, if you're already a member, if you're not a member, you want to become a member, my email is there. This is an opportunity to dive deeper and take a look at where are the areas where we can begin to review and decide on next steps. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna first open for any public comment. Zoom. All right, closing public comment, and I'll start with our students.
Thank you for that presentation. I think it's really important to see like the numbers that really go into this and kind of the reality of where we're at. So thank you.
Awesome. Angelo.
Oh, yeah. So we said earlier about plan decrease operations, the 4,000s, 5,000s, and 6,000 series.
That is correct.
And you think you can reduce it by 3 million?
That is the hope, yes.
Yeah. And this is not a gotcha moment. I really want clarification.
Mhm.
On a few weeks ago, I requested for our 24-25 vendor expense list. Under what of those 3, what series would that be under?
So specific in terms of the vendors?
Yeah, I'm just looking. So I'm gonna let you know what I have on my computer screen. I pulled up that vendor list I asked for regarding all the 24-25 vendor expense lists. Is that spread out through all the series or?
Correct. Yes, it is.
I just want to make a note for the 24-25 vendor expenses. We spent $22 million. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying we spent 22 just for vendors.
That is correct.
Will we be able to look at what we're spending on, do some hard thinking, hard decision making, because of the three buckets, I don't want to touch employees or salaries. I want that to be our last resort. I'm hoping that we can find other areas to add to our cuts. Because on that list I got, our major expenditures here at our school is from the district office and the FRC. I really hope that we look at least at a minimum. I understand maintenance and operations because they do with maintenance, operations, and transportation, but there's a couple areas in there. I'm like, I just hope we can really ask ourselves, can we renegotiate a contract? Do we really need these services? I always use my metaphor of I made a painful decision at home not to take Netflix away because we don't need it. My family was really upset about that. They're like, we have Hulu and Disney Plus. I go, I want to free up some cash here. I'm hoping that we can look in some of our areas here, like, do we need as many services? I mean, it feels fun to get high-end catering, bunch of starter caps with North Monterey County logos on it. But then maybe instead of ordering 20 hats, can we order 10 hats? I'm just using this. I'm not saying that actually happened. I'm just trying to explain my train of thought. I'm hoping that we can go around and ask every directors of other departments to do an honest look of what can we cut back that it's not going to hurt us. We still have a high quality work. We have high quality products before we touch personnel. Because come March 15th, when we start making cuts, that's going to be the first question I ask. What did you cut other than people first before I go towards any jobbers? So I just want to put that out. That's my commitment, is to save jobs. And then I'll be a little bit more critical on you guys. Did we do the work to find other places to cut back? Because it looks like we're just spending a little bit more than we make, but we can get there with proper budgeting. So, but I do appreciate your work. Because I said the fact that you gave me the structural deficit breakdown, that was a big help.
Good, thank you.
I just really want to put that out there to our directors to look at stuff, because I am looking,
Yes.
and please be aware of that.
All right. Thank you, Angela. Martha.
Well, first, Brenda, I really want to thank you for the presentation. This one, I really like the way you did. You really explained everything clearly, and that helps me, take me and understand. I mean, it's, like you said, hard to see, but you're being transparent with the 7 million deficit spending, and where we're at today, right? With the projections and the proposal. And yet, you said we haven't even closed the books yet.
Correct.
So this might look different
Absolutely.
next month on our expenses.
Well, the carryover is what will look different.
Okay,
The expenses are based on 20.
that's already closed out. When I hear close the books, I'm thinking you still have expenses that need to be recorded, or?
What isn't done for 24-25 is we haven't closed the books. What we would get from 24-25 is our ending balance, which would be our beginning balance or our carryover dollars for 25-26. That is what potentially could change in fiscal year 25-26. So that carryover dollars, we budgeted 10 million, but it could be that we have 20 million, for instance, right? In terms of our expenses for 25-26, that for instance, our positions and what we are paying for, those will not change. Does that help?
Yes. And, I mean, and you're also being transparent on those areas that will be affected, right? Positions. And I agree. I hope we can, do whatever we can, right? To make sure that, and I understand the declining, that is very low.
Yeah, it is.
We were at what? It's 41, you said? 41, I think, was the enrollment.
Let's see.
And-
Back. Oh, thank you.
The ADA, yes.
ADA, correct.
41.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is really low.
41 is actually the number that was used for the advanced apportionment. We closed P2, meaning 24-25 ADA at 3.9. So less than 4.
Okay.
And so that's how we base the positions, right? Based off enrollment, based off, and I know you guys break it down accordingly. But we see a lot of positions that we're hiring. So I'm curious, do we have a freeze on positions right now due to this deficit spending, or what are we doing about position
Sure.
control?
The only positions that we are adding is because of the need. So there's a classroom and we need a teacher in front of that classroom. Then in those situations, we have to add a position. Or for instance, if we need a sped, like one-to-one, and those are things that we have to in order to be compliant. But apart from that, we are not adding any additional positions when it comes to unrestricted dollars. If there are restricted dollars that come in, for instance, a grant, and the grant requires us to have a position, then that's a different conversation, of course, because there's funding for those dollars, for that position, I'm sorry.
And it's fair to say we're spending more than what we're getting in, right?
Yes,
Pretty bottom line.
absolutely.
And we've been in deficit spending.
Correct.
And now we're at 7 million, and I think we were at 5 million last year, and now we're at 7.
Yes.
And so just, I know this has always been a concern of mine too, of where we're heading, and especially it's unpredictable with what's happening around us. But it was also good to hear some of the money we did get.
Yes.
Right? We
1.2.
take whatever we can get. So I just, again, thank you for that. And the next steps with the budget meeting. And when you say you're meeting with, like, you're planning with everybody, who's involved in all that?
We are currently doing, I think it was a Google form that was sent out. Maybe you can speak to it a little bit more, but there was a Google form sent out for anybody who is interested in participating in any committee, not just this one, but committees. Do you want to?
No, it was the question about the planning or the committee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Like you said, you're planning on what those priorities are going to be, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the
For
question.
where we can save money, like.
It's a cabinet.
It is the
discussion.
cabinet meeting then? That's what my question is. And when you say
Right.
cabinet, that's between
It's-
the directors and or is it just
It's
the
not-
executive team?
Yeah, it's Brenda, myself, Curtis, and Antonio.
So you guys are the ones that are going to decide where we need to cut
Yeah.
back?
Mhm.
So you don't work with your directors and kind of,
We do work with the directors as well, but it's essentially the decisions would be made by the 4 of us.
okay.
Thank you. Sorry. I thought you meant the budget meeting.
No, I was just trying to understand the collaboration, so everybody understands their budget, where they're at today and work together on areas that they can reduce. And pretty much what you were saying, it's important to kind of understand what every department's doing today, what their needs are, have them present to you guys. And then, of course, I understand the final decision is you guys, but I'm just hoping there's collaboration there and working with everybody in their directors' departments.
Yes.
To understand, their needs and then what we can do, because at the end of the day, it affects the students, right?
Yes.
So we really want to fine tune that piece if we can. So thank you. That was
And
pretty much.
Just to layer on, Brenda and her team have been meeting with each of the directors one-on-one and continue to do so. So that process which you're talking about, hey, how much money do you need to run your things? And how much money there is an ongoing process.
Are budgets being submitted like by October 1st for everybody's part, or did that already happen? I remember when
They already have their budget.
that already happened. They already know their budgets.
Correct.
So now you're going to go back and say, here's your budget, but you're not really.
So just kind of for clarification purposes, the focus is on unrestricted dollars. If the dollars are restricted, those are not the areas where we need to cut. It's
Okay.
really the unrestricted dollars. So even for instance, the vendor expense report, that includes restricted. So it's really honing in our structural deficit, which is only our unrestricted dollars. So it's a very specific group. It wouldn't include every single director because it wouldn't impact every single director.
So moving forward, I guess we have to be very conscientious about approving things. I also heard things that we have to sustain and really
Absolutely.
make sure, whatever we decide, that are we able to, what budget, and are we able to sustain it? And then maybe look at those one-time monies that can happen for 25, 26. Exactly. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. That was really good information in a way that was really easy to understand. So I appreciate that. I know numbers are complicated and sometimes there's so many different budget line items and stuff coming in. So I appreciate it. And then thank you for putting like the date of the committee. I think that's really important that we start with our committees. But I do want to take that opportunity to say that our committees are not decision-making spaces. They're spaces for bringing information and ideas from different stakeholders and different participants. They're not decision-making spaces.
Correct.
So I look forward to hearing from what happened in that committee. And just I agree with both. We just have to take a look at what we're spending, when we're spending it, how we're spending it, and be very mindful that sometimes a lot is less in reality for our students. And sometimes we just really have to be mindful of what is actually causing an impact for the students and how can we continue that instead of just trying here and there and there and there and spending here and spending there. So I look forward to hearing about the plan that the cabinet's going to put together to come up to get us where we need to be. So thank you. Thank you. All right, now I'm opening it up for public comment on non-agenda matters. All right, seeing none, I'm going to our next item and I'll start with our student report. It says board reports, but I'll start with our student report.
Oh, okay. If we can get the. I sent it to yeah.
You put a slide together too for us, huh?
Yes,
That's awesome.
my first one.
Good for you.
It's right there, isn't it? Student board report.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that works. Okay. So today I have more of like a visual aid of what was going on last week at school. So here we have our first day of school. Again, we had our first day rally. We had our cheer programs performing. We had, if you can scroll down, sorry. Um, yeah, that's our rally. We had the catwalk lined up with kids and our posters welcoming everybody back. And then following that, our first full week of school, we had our Condor Tunes Network week for Welcome Week. So every day had its own spirit day connected to a cartoon. We have some of our participants in there. We had fun lunchtime activities for every day. So, for example, for Dora Day, we hid little monkeys around the school, and it was like a treasure hunt.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we ended the week with our mixer, which was Summerween, which is basically like Halloween in the summer. We had actually a lot of participation, which this was really good for us. Yeah.
Oh, cute.
So coming up, we have our fall sports beginning. I know that scrimmages have started for basically every sport, but we also have our spirit games where ASB picks a certain game in the schedule, and we all try to make it out there and support and can like encourage our other students to go support. I think our cross country one is next Saturday, and footballs is also coming up. Yeah, and then our first club rush is next week, I believe, where all of our clubs go out on the front lawn and we all try to get everybody to join our clubs, get some engagement there. We had our first alumni career speaker today. His name was David Beaumont, and he basically talked about his experience in his workforce and encouraging our students to keep trying. And then our fall rally, where we highlight all of our fall sports, is coming up, and so is homecoming is in the works. Um, this is kind of like, I want to dedicate this to like, when I go around campus and I hear things on campus and then I want to bring to attention. So that's what to expect here. One of the things I was hearing a lot is actually like the air conditioning in our classrooms. One of my teachers, she said that she was told that we were got new air conditioning, but it was actually just like an airflow machine and it was like the air flowing and not actually like cold air. And I don't know if this was something to bring up to you guys, but it's definitely like the hot summer seasons right now and it's not too enjoyable like around fifth period. So just wanted to bring that up. And then upcoming is our HOA meeting, our House of Advisory, where our new Speaker of the House, Cynthia, she's gonna organize her meetings and we speak to all the students and what they have to say. And I'd like to attend those meetings and see what those students would like me to bring up here. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And you're more than welcome to always bring anything that you're hearing. So this is the perfect space.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, I'm gonna go on to board reports and I'll start with Marta.
I don't have any. Just
Awesome.
welcome back.
Angela.
Report, but I want to make a comment on yours. Stuff like this, doing the PowerPoint is really powerful for us. It's important that we get grounded and remind ourselves why we're here. It's for the students in their education. We get caught up in our own adult drama world, all these little issues. It really overtakes our lives, but stuff like this, what you do, how you advocate for your fellow students, showing us the pictures of all the fun stuff, it helps bring us in focus back in center. So I hope you always feel happy and confident. There's nothing silly you can add to your report. You're actually helping us out. So thank you for what you did.
Thank you.
I would definitely agree to that. And it definitely, I think if someone has to have a voice here is you as the student representative. So bring us any information. We are here. Yes, I always say adults matter and everything and all our staff and all our district matters, but we're all here for our students. So we want to hear what is it that our students need to succeed. And I'm just, I wish I could have come as the Halloween day or the costume day. So it's always fun to dress up of anything, but thank you. And then we look forward to more. All right. Superintendent's report.
Right, thank you. And I'll echo as well, Adriana, it's great to have you here as a student representative and bring everything which you want to, because that's your role. And we appreciate you doing so. Okay, so let's go with the first slide. So we had the first dinner with the superintendent last Wednesday. And guess what happens there? You have dinner with the superintendent. That's exactly what happened. And we had a really good showing. Probably about 35 folks came. And the topic of focus was around how parents can volunteer at their schools, right? And you will be hearing, we took lots of good notes, and you'll be hearing from Katie later on this evening around Raptor and around, the input which we got and the systems which we'll be using. I really appreciate all of the parents and community members coming out. They gave really great feedback, really good questions, really good things to think about. I want to thank Nutrition Services for the food there. The feedback also from the parents was loud and clear just around the future as well, around things which they would like to focus on. Next meeting is actually going to be focused on school safety. And the feedback was also clear around where they wanted the meeting, which is actually still here at the high school. So the next meeting will be here at the high school. It's September 18th, and the focus will be on school safety. So if that's something which folks are interested in, then please come along and we will see you here. If you'd just like to chat with myself, then come along as well. And I can hang out and we can talk about whatever folks would like to talk about on top of school safety as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so there's also Night of the Condor, which happened, gosh, was that a week ago? Something like that?
Yeah.
It's about a week ago, I think, right? So yeah, really great. Good to see everybody out and about, talk to people, see staff, talk to everybody about what's going on. But yeah, it was a really good evening. Next slide, please. Okay, we're in back to school night season. Last night was Castroville's, really great showing over at Castroville. As I say, we've already had night of the Condor, and other schools are doing their back to school nights, and they're coming up thick and fast. So the folks out there, please come to your back to school night and come visit your teachers, come chat with the principals, and yeah, hope to see you there. Next slide, please. Okay, we have some committees which we would love some representation on. And so we just sent out a Google form to our community asking for people who would like to serve on certain committees. So we have the LCAP Advisory Committee, the Budget Advisory Committee, the Facilities Advisory Committee, the Policy Committee, the Athletic Committee, Special Education, the Ethnic Studies Advisory Committee, and the Wellness Committee. If you're interested in being a member of those committees, then please fill out the form and let us know. If you're not interested in being a member, but you'd just like to show up as these public meetings, then obviously you're more than welcome to do so. But these are ways which you can get involved in how we do things as a district. And next slide, please. Okay, so College and Career Fair. This is coming up here at the high school, September 17th from 6 to 8. This is for anybody. This is for anybody, right? So if you're interested, let's say you're in 9th grade and you're interested in, hey, college career, what are some different opportunities which would be open to me post-secondary? Okay, if you're here at high school, before high school, this is open to everybody and anybody, then please come along and see what the opportunities are out there. Oftentimes we don't know what we want to do when we're kids. And the reason which we don't know what we want to do sometimes is just because we've not been exposed to something. We've not been able to speak to somebody who is doing the thing which we want to do. So this is an opportunity to meet the recruiters from different universities and talk to people in different trades and so on and so forth. So September 17th, 6 to 8 p.m. Next slide, please. Okay, so staff spotlight. I was recently at the middle school, and me and Danny, we were talking and debriefing about a whole bunch of things, and then we go and visit classrooms because that's what we do. And he said, Matt, I really want you to take you to our new science teachers' classrooms because they are knocking it out of the ballpark and doing such a great job. And so we went and visited both of these new science teachers, so Sam Buinvach and Susan Costello, and they are doing a great job. A really great job. It's really good to see. So students are engaged, learning about science. You could see that the teachers really know their stuff. So 2 really great science teachers over at the middle school. We're really glad to have them. And yeah, next slide, please. So our next shout out goes to Sandra and the nutrition team. They do such a great job. Okay, so the nutrition team, they did give our dinner this evening for the board. Okay, so thank you. They did give the dinner for, gosh, the superintendent, dinner with the superintendent. When we have breakfast, they give all of that, and they go above and beyond to give nutritious meals all the time. And so we really appreciate them. Yeah, and that's it for the superintendent report. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Definitely delicious meals. We all enjoyed. So thank you, Matt. And again, I want to reiterate that our committees, there's no decision making, is more of a bringing in ideas, bringing in suggestions, bringing in information, also concerns, everything. And then from there is some committees that are tasked with the voting member, but it's very limited committees. The rest of the committees, the purpose is for information and bringing in on and off, on and off. I could scream pretty loud. Thank you, Matt. All right, moving on. CSEA informed me there's no report from them. I'll move on to the Teachers Federation. All right, moving on to discussion items. And first one is moving our meeting that is scheduled for September 11th.
Yeah, so I can address that. So our next board meeting is currently scheduled for September 11th, which is a Thursday. However, the governing board and myself are all actually going to CLSBA, the California Latino School Boards Association down in San Diego, which starts on Thursday. So it would not be possible for us to hold the board meeting on that Thursday. So instead, we're bringing it to approval to hold instead on September the 9th, which is going to be a Tuesday.
All right, I'm opening it up for any public. Opening up for any public comment. Board. Sorry, Zoom. Stop distracting. No, all right. I'll open it for board. Any questions?
No, no, that's-
I just think it's really important that the board take as many opportunities to do governance training as possible. We have a huge responsibility on our shoulders, a lot of decision making to do. And it's a right thing to do for our students to do as many of these collaborations and training to do the best job that we can.
I don't have any questions. This is an item for approval. I move to approve this item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Student?
Aye.
All right. The next one is the same. Moving our meeting from November 13th to November 6th.
Okay, so the reason for this one is this was originally scheduled for November 13th. What this would mean is the one which happens in October, there would be then a 3-week break until the meeting in November. And then there would be a one week break in between November the 13th and then November 20th. From moving the November 13th to November 6th, it keeps the cadence at every 2 weeks rather than having a 3-week gap and then a 1-week gap.
All right. Any public comment? Zoom? All right, board, any questions?
I motion to move. No question.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Moving on to approve the vendor digital documentation.
Me again. We are hoping to move forward with Inform K-12. Inform K-12 is a vendor that provides digital services for forms. Currently, we have all paper forms for all business related forms. And one of the areas that we really want to move digitally is for contracts specifically. Currently, our process is inadequate, and we would like to ensure that we have a space where we can not only track every single contract, but be able to utilize it for approval processes, and be able to have it at our disposal of a click of a button. This will obviously streamline our approvals, and in terms of pricing, K-12 was not only the best quote for the services that they provide, but we already currently use K-12 for HR, which means that our staff is already familiar with them, and it would make for a more smooth transition. They wouldn't have to learn an entire new system. So that's what this is.
I'll open it for any public comment. Two. Closing public comment, and I'll start student. Any questions?
No.
All right, Angelo.
Questions?
Martha?
I just have a quick one. So I'm all for efficiency and making sure that it's done through the system, automated and stuff like that. Does this vendor come in and train and help you guys transition?
The first year is an implementation year. So even if you look at the cost, the first year is like 7,000 for the implementation and then 16 for the fee. And the reason is because the first year you're just developing all of the forms. You don't even launch. We might launch towards the end,
Oh,
but you have to develop everything and, the approvals, the forms,
right.
in order to be able to then, yes, they would provide training so that we can move forward to actually utilizing the system. And it would be more than one form. Contracts would be one. Other examples would be, for instance, like the voucher expenses or travel request forms. All of those things could go digital. So yes, they would provide training, but it would take a while before we got there.
So do they have other models too? Because I know how these payments are sometimes have to be done.
They do. I chose the least expensive model because it takes a really long time to create a form. So I chose the one that has the least amount of forms, which is 10. 10 forms is already a lot to create. It goes up to an unlimited amount and we're just not there yet. So I chose actually the the smallest plan so that we can just start.
Okay, so it's a year implementation and then you launch next year.
Maybe this year, just depends on how fast we move. I'm hoping maybe towards the end of this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would say anything to facilitate and make things simpler and then be able to track and sort and figure out what we're doing, bring it on.
Agreed.
So this is an item to approve and I move to approve this item.
A second.
All right. Student, your vote?
Aye.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. All right, next one is receive presentation and approve agreement between North County and Raptor.
Good evening, board and everyone. We're actually going to start with the other presentation. So last meeting, Curtis and I presented on Raptor, and you requested a presentation from Raptor. And so they are on the Zoom, and their names are Nelson, Wyman, and Chase. And they will give their presentation first. Yeah, they're linked on the board agenda if you scroll down. That's the other PowerPoint. And then I will share the feedback from the families that Dr. Turkey was mentioning earlier following this presentation.
Can you all hear me okay?
A
A little loud.
Yes, I think we're just waiting to pull up your slide deck.
Okay.
All right, there it is.
And I apologize ahead of time. I picked up my son's cold, so I might be going on mute to cough here and there. But yes, so I know we do have about 10 minutes for the presentation, so I'm going to try and go through this quickly. But I do have our Chief Operations Officer, Nelson Lenz on, and also our Chief Information Security Officer, Wyman Lewis on. But if we go to the next screen there, just a quick agenda slide. I'll be going over a quick overview of both Visitor Safe and Volunteer Safe, and then turning it over to both Nelson and Wyman for addressing data and privacy questions that any of the board members do have. And then at the end, we'll field any questions that you have from the presentation. But if we continue on there, just a little bit about Raptor. For over 20 years now, our main mission here has been to protect every child, every school, and every day. And over the 20 years, we've achieved that and continue to achieve that. And here are just some of the metrics, but the most important one that we're proud of is going to be that 98% client retention rate, excuse me. But if we move to the next slide, there we'll get a little bit more in depth of what the Raptor partnerships look like throughout the state of California. as we're in roughly over 40% of the schools in the state of California. And then on the left-hand side, I listed out a few of those districts. Some of those you might be familiar with, may even have some former colleagues or friends that work in those districts as well. But just a little bit about the Raptor footprint there when it comes to the state of California specifically. And then if we continue on, just a little bit about Raptor and how we're achieving K-12 safety is we do focus at the foundation level of, for every school district when it comes to their safety and well-being by focusing on the 4 key pillars that you're seeing here from emergency management, campus movement, student well-being, and staff adoption and performance. But what me and Katie have been working on over the past 6 months is really focused at that volunteer and visitor management portion. So if we continue on there, and next slide also. Thank you. Starting with visitor safe, this is going to be for the visitor screenings coming in. So moving away from the standard pen and paper methods and digitizing that for you across all campuses, giving you greater visibility of who's coming onto campus and having the abilities to screen every visitor, volunteer, contractor, so on and so forth, against all 50 state sex offender registries and any custom database that you would like to set up. Typically, we see that in the form of custodial rights, issues with certain students and their parent and guardians. And if we go to the next screen there, this is just a quick video of what this would look like for an individual showing up to a campus, handing their ID over to that front desk reception. What you're seeing here is after the fact. If I come back a few weeks later, a month later, I can be searched up quickly and search from a number of destinations that are all customizable on where I'm wanting to go. Again, giving your team the ability to streamline this process, but also enhancing the safety posture across the district. And if we continue on there, and one more, we're going to be diving into volunteer safe. This is going to have 2 sides of it. So one side is going to be your volunteer coordinator, giving their team the ability to effectively manage all of their volunteers in a more streamlined method and process, allowing them to approve multiple volunteers a lot more efficiently, handle all of those events that are being created throughout the year for those volunteers, communicate with them, and really just nurture and potentially grow the volunteer community. And then the flip side of that would be the impact it's going to have on your potential volunteers, streamlining that process for them with a customized online application, doing those background check screenings for them. And then again, as I mentioned, really just streamlining that process. So next screen there. And this is also another video, again, just showing what that application would look like online. As I mentioned, fully customizable. You can collect the information that you need from those potential volunteers. They will be able to select what campuses they want to volunteer at and whatever volunteer options or functions that the district currently offers, as well as being able to request certain documentation from those volunteers, whether that's just a photo ID, shot records, certain trainings, so on and so forth. The sky's the limit when it comes to that. But again, being able to digitize that method for you guys, again, to streamline that process by still maintaining that highest form of security there. And then if we continue on to the next screen, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Nelson and Wyman to discuss data privacy and security here at Raptor.
Hello, everyone. Should we cover any questions on that material first or not?
No, we'll just go on through the presentation and then we'll have questions at the very end.
Okay, excellent. Wyman, would you like to take over?
Yes. Thank you, Nelson. So we can go to the next slide. So data privacy and IT security is very important to Raptor. You know, we have an extensive defense and depth strategy when it comes to protecting the data that's collected on our systems. And we go through a robust third-party analysis and audit of our systems to ensure that we have the proper controls in place to protect that data. Let's go to the next slide. And there's a few things that we can dive into. So we think about our infrastructure, we do extensive third-party testing, as I mentioned. SOC 2 Type 2 is one of the regulatory compliance initiatives that we undergo annually. Also, GDPR and CCPA compliance, which is very important to you as well when it comes to privacy. Um, Vulnerability management and annual security training and testing of our staff to ensure that the people that's handling private privacy data and PI data are trained to do so. And we also have any vendors that we use, we have vendor assessments and third-party monitoring as well. And as far as encryption goes and any data that's stored on our systems, we do invoke very strong encryption at rest of any data that's in place and real-time monitoring across our systems. So any point of contact that we have with your district, if there's any issues or any things detected, we are in constant communication with you. We also have a trust center. We have a trust center that keeps our customers or any potential customers updated on any controls or any updated compliance initiatives that we have in place. And you can easily download our SOC 2 report, our ISO report, or any sort of penetration testing type of information for your evaluation on your side anytime. And this information is available on our website, on our trust center. Any questions?
That's it, Kate?
Does that conclude the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm first gonna open it up for any, or do we have another presentation? We
There
do
is.
have another presentation, right?
There is, yeah.
So would you three mind staying on the call? So I'll do my presentation quickly and then there'll be questions at the end.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is volunteer bonus.
It's together.
This is
Oh,
part
it is?
2.
Okay, thank you.
So like Dr. Turkey mentioned, we talked about this system with our families at the first superintendent's dinner. We had 34 parents there that signed in, and they represented most of our schools. And I'll keep going. So next screen. Thank you. Thank you. This is a picture of the event. First, we did a presentation. We walked through the software, and then families worked in small groups to give us feedback and ask us questions. And they scribed for us. So these are the considerations that they had, and I'll go through each of them. So the themes from the families, these are their words. They were grateful for the private data and the data sharing aspects that we shared. They were thankful that there will now be 2 options to volunteer, one with the visitor safe, just being able to access their children on their campus instead of having to go through the entire process that we described last time we presented. We discussed having an option to go to the Family Resource Center, especially for our families that don't have IDs, as a way to verify that they're families of our students. And families shared that level 1 was a good option for being able to visit the campus was a good option to be involved in their child's life, especially when they feel busy with working. And then these are the questions and feedback that they had. So they wondered about the screening being done at the Family Resource Center. They wondered how long the system lasts in the information lasts in the system. And we asked for their feedback because with Raptor, it really is on the district's side to make the decision as to whether or not how long they want to keep the data. And some of our families suggested a TB test every 4 years and keeping the information, the clearance through the time of their enrollment of their child. They mentioned that TB tests are hard for families. And so we talked about opportunities to partner with medical agencies or bring a clinic to the school site. Safety concerns was a major topic. They're concerned about people walking onto the campuses and not being identified. And they also want to help with school security. That was a common theme across multiple groups. They also want clarification about at what point someone would be able to volunteer. So is it the teachers are wanting volunteers or are there other opportunities? They also wondered how long the process would take. So with Visitor Safe, I talked with Chase, that's an instantaneous process. And the volunteer clearance takes 24 hours. And he can correct me if I'm wrong. And they want to know how we'll advertise this to our families. We talked about a workshop updating our website. And some of them asked about subsequent arrests. So if we do clear a family and then they're subsequently arrested, how would we know if we didn't do the background check the following year? And I checked with Chase to see if that was part of the system. And it's an additional cost if we wanted to do that per volunteer that was cleared. I think it's $3. So these are our next steps. We're here today asking for board approval. We would purchase and move forward with that. There is a timeline for ordering the equipment for the visitor seats because it prints, we need like badge printers. And then it looks like with the timeline Chase gave me, it's a 1 to 7 week process about for the visitor and volunteer systems. The volunteer systems would be about 1 to 6 from the start to the implementation. We would work with IT and Raptor. We would clarify our systems and update our website, host the volunteer workshop that I discussed. I think that is it. So we can go to questions, comments, or feedback.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I'm going to first open it for any public comment. Zoom. All right, closing public comment, and I'll open it first for our student. Do you have any questions?
I do have one question. It's kind of more like clarifying. Like volunteers, like you're accepting the volunteers and they're getting cleared, right? But like, what would they be volunteering for? Or like, what in what sense are they like a volunteer? Like around campus?
Yeah, so we would have to define what a volunteer means. Last time we gave some examples of coaches, partners, chaperones, and times that students might be one-on-one working with an adult, like a mentor could be an opportunity, but we would have to define that, I think, for us and for our families to be clear.
Okay.
That was a great question. Thank you.
All right, Rick.
So the feedback that you're showing the attendees, we asked all those questions and was there any concerns that were on here? They're kind of questions, but like
Yeah, those were their exact words. And I typed up everything they said so I can share it with you. There weren't many there. I didn't hear any feedback that was totally against the system. It was more about how it would be rolled out. What is the timeline, how it would be communicated. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, what I'd add is the families were keen for us to get going. And most of the questions are, when are you going to get this going? Because we want to jump on it, because at the moment you've only got one level of volunteer and we like this level, the 2 different levels. So they were really asking about next steps. They were all very positive and wanted it to happen.
what is the benefit of I think I can is it like an upgrade of more access, right?
So at the moment, we only have one kind of way which we accept volunteers, and you have it's with a high degree of screening, right? And actually, what this provides is there's 2 levels of volunteers. Exactly. And so for the volunteers, so for the level 1 volunteer, you basically there's less restrictions, right? You don't need to go get the TB test, for example, right? Now you wouldn't be able to be alone with students, but it opens the doors for families to come and volunteer in their child's classroom with just less restrictions and for it to be easier.
And then layered onto that, it also creates a system within which we're badging and IDing anyone that comes to our sites. So there aren't just people walking around and we don't really know why they're there for safety purposes. And that was what the families expressed. There was a real concern around security and safety.
Before I move forward, for a point of clarification, are we discussing my understanding is we're discussing an approval agreement of using this system, not a volunteer process yet? Or what are we, or a volunteer process is included in this agreement?
Right. So there's the visitor safe contract, which would be the walking in, sexual registry, screening, the badging piece, and then the volunteer process. So right now we kind of mentioned it last time where they drive to the district office or their school, they get the form, get it signed by the principal, they take it to the district office, they get the DOJ, they drive to Salinas, they get their fingerprints, they come back, they share their TB test. This volunteer system, there will be a link on our website. Parents and families can click it and fill out the form on their own. It would then go into the system for the clearance. All of our sites would be able to see who has submitted an application and who has been cleared. And then, but families did have questions about what if we need help completing that? And that's where we talked about the Family Resource Center being a place where volunteers could come to complete the application. So it would be a system shift from the hard paper going to Salinas to a clearance through the software.
So we are approving a system and a process for volunteering.
Yes.
Okay, I'll continue with my questions.
Okay.
I just wanted a point of clarification for the rest of the board.
Yeah,
Go
'cause
ahead,
that's-
Angelo, your questions.
I'm throwing, because that's my level of frustration is going high now. The title says receive presentation approval agreement between North Monterey County, North Monterey County Unified School District and Raptor Technologies for the 25-26 school year. I want to make sure that's what we're talking about, because I'm okay with moving forward with that. But I'm not ready to talk about a volunteer system. I'm willing to, I'm just letting you guys know on the discussion part, because I want to hear a little bit more about this volunteer system before I even discuss it or make a motion or approve it. But I'm willing to motion and approve us getting in contract with Raptor. But
Maybe-
because I don't understand, because I don't understand what the process is yet.
Okay.
So what does volunteers means? What are,
You mean the comprehensive system of like, well, who,
No.
when would we
I'm
use?
willing to approve the technology and getting in contract with this program
To develop a system.
to develop a system, to develop how you guys are gonna do the volunteers program.
This
But-
may help. So we do have a board policy and I spoke with Curtis and the board policy mentions fingerprints. And we would
That's not what
have
I mean.
to
I
ship
wanna know,
that.
like, how is it volunteers just for parents going to the classrooms? Are we talking that anybody off the street that clears off can volunteer to our school because they're part of our community? I don't know what the volunteer program that we're going to agree upon.
Got you. So the different types of volunteers.
Yes, I am very confused. and Don't have, I believe that should be another discussion. So we can kind of iron out all the details. But for Raptor, I'm all on board.
Could you clarify, Katie?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking that at the time we have to update the board policy with what our clear volunteer system is, that would be a good time to present what a comprehensive system would look like. This is just the software for our parents to be able to click a link instead of coming to get the form and be cleared through the Raptor system, through the federal background check versus being fingerprinted at the post box.
And I said I'm all aboard that. I just want to just put it out there. It's like, because we're on the board, we're not in the meetings with you guys. We don't know. We don't get the whole picture that you guys have.
Mhm.
And it did come off a little bit confusing. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna approve technology. And then I'm like, whoa. Am I approving technology? And we're gonna start bringing people,
We would have.
tier
to-
one, well, I'm letting you know that's how it's coming off or how I took it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, I don't
But
think. we're-
I'm willing to go for the contract with Raptor. I'm hoping before we talk about. I'm thinking my definition of system is different than your definition of system. when I get confused, I back off. Like right now, I'm willing to go or the contract with Raptor. At today level.
Angela, do you have questions for the system?
No, but because they needed to clarify
Right,
if it was together.
and that's why I wanted to clarify that as a point of clarity.
I'll be honest, I didn't feel like I got that clarification yet,
Right.
so I need further clarification.
So we're the ask, because we want to clarify it, because then we'll have probably different questions. The ask right now of the board is to approve a system that then you will approve the technology, that then you will look at the current board policy and update with a proposal for then us to take a look at that proposal.
Yes,
Awesome, got it.
thank you. Yes.
And be patient with us, but because we're very literal.
That's
And
perfect.
we're looking at
Mhm.
words here and I'm like, okay, why are we? And then I'm hearing other stuff. I was also all very confused of wait. There were all these concerns and we haven't even addressed the concerns.
Yeah, the
All right.
system versus technology. That was a
Okay,
good
perfect.
way to
All right.
say it.
Do you have any questions for the system? Awesome. Marta,
No, I'm excited about this. I know I remember parents were coming in and talking about something like that, or the background checks to be done more quicker. So I saw in the presentation that they pay for their own background checks anyways. Do they do that today when
No,
they go
we-
into town?
We pay for them, and it's, I think, $30, and this is a $5 fee for us.
Oh, when the presentation says they will pay their own.
We can ask them to pay their own, but we would have to decide that and put it into our system. Or we wouldn't,
And
and
we
then
don't want
we
to.
would pay for it. Mhm.
Okay, because that's what it said. They will pay their own. So I just wanted to get clarity because you're getting clearance today, right now, right? For parents. And the current process is they fill out the application, but they go get fingerprinted and then they bring the stuff back.
They bring back their TB test. The clearance goes back to HR. And then
Right.
HR communicates out to sites who maybe that volunteer was going to, but it's a little fuzzy. Mhm.
Right. And I remember that. So right now, they're not cleared until HR says yes.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Because we know sometimes it could be in different counties and it might take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if not longer. And the system does that, right? Checks all the counties.
Do you want to answer that, Chase?
There you go. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so for the background check, it is a national check. So we're not just checking county level, we're checking across all 50 states when it comes to that volunteer background. For the visitor sign in, we're doing a check for all 50 state sex offender registries. And then, of course, the custom database that I mentioned we can help you set up during implementation there. And that can be to screen anybody for any reason. Most of the time we do see that for custodial rights related issues though.
So the background company that you guys use, is this the same one we're currently using today, or is it the vendors using a different one?
Yes, so the background check provider that we partner with is called JDP or JD Palantine to run that background check. So once that application is submitted online, that all will happen in the background. And then once that background comes back, that will be sent over to Katie and her team running the volunteer or HR. I know y'all mentioned that one. To do the final approval, make sure they uploaded that TB document and any other documents that y'all may be requiring there in the future. And then you will still have that power to either accept or deny that potential volunteer that's signed up.
And it was good to see that there's other school districts that are using this currently today in this area. And I just have one more question because I know I've had, when with JP Palantine, and I don't know who we use today, what is the timeline for background checks to come back? What is your current status with other districts?
Yeah, and Nelson, feel free to speak further on this if you want to. But it really depends on the individual that is getting the background check done. So if you're somebody that does not have a criminal record, That background could come back, but really quickly. We say on average of 24 hours, but if you're somebody that has a more extensive background, that could take just a little longer. But the typical average turnaround time on those is roughly 24 hours.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to understand. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. My question is, do you have any legal requirements if another outside entity wants our data?
Nelson, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, yeah. The request would come from you, and we would provide access to the entire data.
So there's
It's
no
your
legal
data.
requirement for you as the vendor to turn in data from our district to anyone outside of our district.
No,
Do you know that your company that you use actually shares information with Immigration Custom Enforcement?
no, we don't.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a motion item.
I'll be honest with you, that threw me for the loop right now. So you're saying that JDP, who they use vendor,
According to the research I just did, JDP shares information with Immigration Customs Enforcement.
And did they answer yes or no?
They said they did not know. That was the
They
answer.
did not know. I wanted to repeat.
the
Can you,
JDP
can you answer the question? Do you
Yeah.
know if JDP shares information with Immigration Customs Enforcement?
Oh, I don't know. I thought you were asking about ourselves. We do not.
I know
Ms.
you do
Raptor.
not, but the company that you use for background checks, do you know?
Got it. No, I don't know. I
Okay.
would have to research that and get back to you.
Be allowed to use anybody other than JDP?
I have no idea.
I have a follow-up question. So let's say a parent comes and does a background check. Where is that data kept? If I'm a parent, so Matt Turkey, right? And a background check is run on me, where's it kept that where's my information kept as a parent?
It's with JD Palatine. Your background check information.
It's Chase, right? Who's talking?
Nelson.
Nelson. So is JDP the only vendor you use for background checks?
Yes.
I move to amend this and table it until further investigation or further information, just because we need more clarity on how that data is being shared throughout, not only with Immigration Customs Enforcement, but with other entities who our families might currently have a lot of fear for.
I agree, especially if that was one of the main concerns that parents were asking, right? So
Yeah.
let's clarify that piece.
Let's finish our vote. So,
All right, so all in favor? Aye. Oppose? Student?
Aye.
All right, we'll
you.
table this.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for being available and for answering our questions. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, moving on to our next one, and it's adoption of how we're gonna proceed moving forward with our meetings.
this goes to
So Angelo is gonna actually present this item.
guys. So this is more for us in business. Something you've been hearing me talk about a lot is about parliamentary procedures. And I wanted more clarification for us. Reality is there's not been a lot of clarification since I joined the board or training on parliamentary procedures. And we commonly refer to Robert's Rules of Order. I wanted to come to the board and talk about adopting Rosenberg's Rules of Order. So what happens if we do this? Why do I want to do this? I want to give us all, one clear set of ground rules that all of us can read, understand, and share. I want to prevent as many misunderstandings on a parliamentary procedure on how we do business. One thing better about here, so I want to have the same voice for everyone at the table, predictable turns, because this book can be very confusing. And by moving to an easier rules of order, it saves time for us, because it saves time for the staff and it saves time for the public, because we will make, in theory, we'll make fewer mistakes that are going to force us to either redo our votes or redo motions or agenda items. So the reality is the problem is the problem is the process, it's not the people. Due to us not, in the past, I don't think it was really looked into it. So there's a lot of confusion and everyone had a different expectations about, how to make a motion, when to make a motion. Or like I said, last board meeting, when I did my amendment, the different types of amendments and how to do stuff like that. This way is to put forward with just keeping it clean. One of the things I've heard as a trustee is we do have parliamentary procedures. We have the Brown Act. That's not true. The Brown Act just tells you on how to be transparent and make sure that give people time to speak and recording minutes. That's the only thing the Brown Act wants. And then the ed code for us is the only thing they want from us is formal votes, minutes, and then a simple majority rule. I did check into it and I should have chosen a better background because I have the ed codes here on the bottom. The law does not name a parliamentary manual for us. So I wanted to dive deep into this. Why doesn't the ed code or government code tell us what to do? If they tell City Hall what to do by Robert's Rules of Order, or they tell county supervisors what to do. And it was really an eye-opening experience for us. County supervisors and city halls are chartered municipalities through the state of California that are given the opportunity to not write policy, but write laws and enforce laws. We are not. We do policies to uphold law that's done by the state. We're different. That's why there's a little bit more ambiguity with us. So that's why we don't do the business the way county and city halls do. We are a very special niche elected group that's hyper-focused on educating our students and following the ed code. That's really what we stand here, to follow the ed code, to have policies in place to make sure that we're adhering to state law regarding education of students. Unlike City Hall or county supervisors, where they get to make law and make codes and actually enforce and add a fine to it. So if it doesn't spell out for which parliamentary procedure to use, then the question is, well, which one do we use? I actually read the 5494.3. We get to make up our rules. We can either follow Robert's Rules of Order. We can do Rosenberg's Rules of Order, which was made by Judge Rosenberg, who wrote a 10 to 20 page set of rules specifically designed for school boards. Or we can make our own in-house rules of order. But the ed code does state you have to make rules. I think there was a little bit of misconfusion because we thought the Brown Act did it. No, the Brown Act doesn't do it. So technically, up until now, we're out of compliance. Because we have to have something on the books saying what the rules of order are. So we get to choose how we're going to do it. So our current, okay, so bylaws don't name a rule book, procedures vary by meeting. If you don't have rules, the rulings and the way we do stuff can feel personal without having a neutral or reference to go back. This happened to me, harder for new members and also for the public to follow along with what's going on. Because once we started getting a little bit more changing to better practices, I think we all noticed some of the public were getting frustrated because they didn't understand what was going on. This is a chance for us to fix that. That's what it's, we got a higher chance of procedural mistakes or appeals if we don't know, which rules we're following for which day. So basically, proposal in one sentence. California state law, our board bylaws are the primary rules. When there's nothing written down by the bylaws or ed code or government code, then Rosenberg's rules, if we chose to, it will be used as a guide. But it's gotta be consistent with the law and our bylaws. So we just gotta add a 1 paragraph amendment to board bylaws 9323. So why Rosenberg's, Roberts? Yeah, it's 10 pages, written in plain language, designed for us. Instead of 600 pages. Yes, I marked all the little calendars because I was gonna have fun with this district. And you guys, the stuff I was planning, but it's not fair if you guys don't understand what's going on. This 10-page rules will make it fair for us, make it fair for the staff to know how we do business, so they can be prepared for us. Rosenberg's got clear steps for motions and amendments. I should have gave this out first. Look in your sheet, you have a quick guide. Look. I want you to have the actual Rosenberg rules of order. That was written by Judge
I can
Rosenberg.
read this one.
What's that?
I can read this.
Yes, but and that's the point. So it's up to us if we want to follow this or follow that. So plus, by going for the 10-page, I was gonna ask the board too that we post the Rosenberg's rules of orders on our board webpage, so the public can actually read our rules before even showing up for public comment to understand how we do business. The level of transparency here is awesome. Because like I said, Robert's rules is very confusing. I mean, Robert's rules is really designed more for larger forms of government, not little, the small form that we are here. So just clear order for clear order how we do business. Presenter report, the right presenter, because remember it's our meetings. Presenter could be anybody. It could be a trustee, the staff, or like we had David in the past, a community member that presented. Public comment. I think before we talked about, hey, board question time. It's not really board question time, it's board discussion time. We can actually have a discussion. We do a motion, we do a vote. Rosenberg's rules also makes it easier for the chair to do their job. There's less vagueness of this. So the chair restates the motion before the vote, so everyone's clear. And then one item at a time, no side conversations, parallel motions. The tweak is needed, like we just did with the previous agenda item. Make a simple amendment, then vote. Same process every time, predictable and fair. So I just added this on what if we move to go with this, what I would say, just keep it simple and clean. And then here, if you need any government codes of what's going on, where I got this information from, it would be through these government codes. But I'll just move now to like I said, presenter notes, and then it goes to public comment.
Thank you, Angelo. You did your homework and we could tell you're a teacher. I'll open it for any public comment. Zoom. All right, closing public comment. I'll start with our student.
No question.
All right, Rick.
Yeah, so I wanted to be easy for us. And since you're our student board member, you're gonna be expected to know it too. You're part of the team.
No pressure. You'll go teach you. Martha.
I appreciate, you putting this together and just simplifying it. And I know the Robert Rules of Order, the book you have, I've never seen one that thick before. Mine's a lot thinner.
Okay, so the one you have is the 240-page abridged version. That's the 240-page is the cheat guide.
The cheat sheet guide.
Yeah, for the 600-page one.
So
You have it? No, you don't.
I was gonna get one for Adriana.
Thank you.
So, and I'll use the example, obviously, from our last board meeting with the amendment. That's not something that we are familiar with. So it's important for us to get educated, all of us. Because in reading this, it looked like I should have had the opportunity to debate your amendment. And yet I was asked to make a vote. So this helped me clarify that piece.
Clean 10 pages, cleaner rules, easier to find something. So it's that's the whole point of this, is to try to remove some of the vagueness and how Roberts could be very confusing, especially if somebody knows a little bit slightly more than others. Yeah, it can be intimidating. Robert's rules can be very, very intimidating. But like I said, Rosenberg was written purposely for us by Judge Rosenberg.
And then the part where you say anybody can present, I think there's a part where we decide based off the information.
Yes,
That-
you know how we approved David?
Yeah,
That was approved by us. I just put presenting, saying like, hey, whoever's presenting, that was more for the order.
okay.
Presenter, public comment, discussion, motion, vote.
Okay.
Can I add to that, Marta? I'll also answer that question because I actually did check in with council about agenda creation and items to present. And our council said that we need a process, and the agenda creation is through the Brown Act. And it's the current chair and the superintendent who create the agenda and who decide on the agenda items. Board, of course, can request, and then the decision, final decision is under the discretion of the current chair and the superintendent.
On what's going to be on the agenda.
Correct.
Okay.
And also the current chair and the superintendent decide also if it becomes a district subject. Like, let's say Angela wanted to bring this topic, right? The district can decide, oh, you know what, this is something the district wants to take on. And that's under, again, the discretion of the chair and the discretion of the superintendent. And then we can say, Angela, instead of you bringing it and presenting it, we're going to ask the staff to bring it and present it. Or we can say, nope, it's your agenda item. You bring it, you present it.
Okay.
But that's part of the Brown Act. That's not part of,
Yes, I'm just trying to
This.
give us simpler rules to
Mhm.
follow while we do all that stuff.
Like meeting conduct.
meeting, how to conduct the
The
meeting.
meeting conduct
Yeah.
is what I got out of
Yeah.
this.
Yes, it's not meeting conduct, not meeting behavior. We're hoping we behave nice, but it'd be- this is more just how to conduct a meeting. And I think that's where a lot of confusion happened between the Brown Act. Because we thought the Brown Act told you how to conduct a meeting. No, it didn't. It just told you what you needed to do lawfully for transparency, adding the public comment. So it wasn't conduct saying, hey, you figure those out on your own, but you better add these things onto your meeting by law. And I think that's where a lot of confusion happened, especially where I was confused when I first started. And I just can't stress enough. I just want to give everybody a chance to find easier, cleaner, smaller set of rules that have been designed for us. Or
And
actually, I probably would like to have Robert's rules. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I'm trying to be fair.
And then just for clarity on your role as a secretary of the board in making sure these processes are being followed, is that something that you do or the president?
The
Chair.
current chair.
So
Current chair.
there is something called point of order.
Okay.
So if any of us believe that something is not being done correctly,
Okay.
then any of us can interrupt and say, Madam President, point of order. And then say, I don't think that XYZ was done correctly. And then whomever the president of the board is, then would have to respond immediately to that. So it stops everything else. It stops it. And then the president would have to say, okay, yep, you're right. That was a mistake. We need to do it this way. Or whatever the thing is. So to answer your question, it's not my responsibility alone.
Anyone can do
It's
it.
any of us can call a point of order.
For a point of order, but the chair is what determines if the grievance was correct or complaints correct. And there's more stuff in there. For example, if the chair decided, no, it's not against it, but then we had a majority vote, we can override the chair.
There's the appeal process as well.
But like I said, instead of going through all that, which it is a pain, it's a little bit cleaner here, where basically Judge Rosenberg said, hey, out of this 600-page book, what's more likely to happen at a California State School Board?
But I already want to go back to it's the role of any of us to make sure that it's running properly. So anybody can say, hey, I don't think this is running properly.
And that's what I want to clarify too.
And
All right.
I want to clarify this, we could have done that, what you just asked can be done with any parliamentary procedure.
Mhm.
Board bylaws is primary. If there's not a board bylaw on it, then you default to the parliamentary procedure. The board bylaw always takes precedence, which is in accordance with the law.
Okay.
Do you have any questions or comments on that?
No, yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I think this will be a good thing for the board to adopt. I think it takes the guesswork out of how things are going to run. And it creates a fair playing field for everybody. It creates, as you said, kind of predictability in how things go. And I think that that's a positive. I'll also add that attached to this is the actual bylaw 9323, which has been redlined and adapted.
Dog G, can you
For
put that
this.
up there?
And so an approval vote for this
The red line.
would be an approval vote to change the bylaw 9323. It's the
It's on-
other
on the other
attachment, Brianna. There you go. It's to the right.
No, the other one.
Yeah, that's the one.
And you guys all got the quick guide too, right?
It's so approving this would essentially be amending this bylaw.
All right. And I would just say, as the current acting chair, this would make it way simpler for all of us to understand how and when we're doing stuff. And it also takes the personality in person out of the role, because it's no longer always because Adriana said, no, I'm currently the chair, but it's not because I said there was no current parliament procedures that we had. So I was pulling from whatever area I needed to run and facilitate a meeting. And this would also make it clear for all of us in the future that it's how we all decided a meeting is going to run. And again, take the personal part away from roles and process and procedures. And I agree, it would definitely put a playing field for all of us to be like, no, we all agree that these were like the rules, and we're all calling each other out when we're not following the rules that we agree on how we were going to conduct business. So I appreciate that you actually look into this, because yes, last meeting was kind of like you pulled something on all of us that were like, okay, maybe we should go and get training and get and study and do stuff and everything and figure out how to deal with those type of amendments. But it's not on you, it's on us, right? Because
And also
we also
brought me the book to study.
it's our responsibility to also learn how to do a role and it's difficult. Like you mentioned, it was pretty confusing. I don't think we got proper training, and we
Not, and that's something I'm trying to push us. This is the training stuff why it's important to go CSBA. CSBA does not do a good job training
Correct.
us on parliamentary procedure. They just throw you in the frying pan.
correct.
I'm hoping that all of us can like step out of it for a second and just let's find something for us to actually work together.
They're like, you decided to do this, you figure out how to do it. And then we all have different interpretations on what we're doing. And so for me, this brings clarity. So this is an item to approve, and I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Awesome. Thank you, Angelo, and thank you for presenting. All right. Board request for next meeting, and I'll start with our student. Do you have any requests?
No.
All right, awesome. Rick? Yes, they were approved. Those items passed.
Our special meeting last meeting, like, like we had requested to like have a meeting to like go over, stuff that we usually get to go over, but ended up being. So, I know September. Have a meeting to do that with no topic. We're just going to take the first time.
So I'll touch base with you to understand a little bit more of that so that we again can follow both right now that we have one, follow the Brown Act and follow the current Rosenberg rules that we decided on to create that space that you're looking for. Okay. Anything else, Rick? Angelo?
It's for Matt, because usually this is on consent item. But I want to make sure that, because we on our consent, we voted for us to go to CSBA.
Yes.
We can draft something up so we can send our student trustee up to CSBA also for student trustee training in Sacramento.
And my thought is that if you want to go, Adriana, that's fine. We can do that because I think the cost would be underneath 5,000 because it'd be sending one person. I wouldn't need to go for board approval.
It's 500. Oh yes, her class is $500.
All right. Anything else? Angelo?
Oh, that's it.
Martha? All right. With that said, meeting adjourned. 8:07.